Hi everyone, Paula Meyer here. I'm here with my good friend Allison Voth, and we have a special surprise that we want to share with you today.
Yay! We're celebrating something special. Let me get the champagne ready. Ooh. It is the first anniversary of Whoa! Good thing I have a placemat here on the desk. Paula already has her champagne ready. I'm about to pour it to celebrate the first anniversary of Inspiration's book. All right. Cheers, Paula.
Cheers.
Oh, wait.
To my good friend.
Mine was a terrible pour, but eye contact. Yeah, so we're here to celebrate the first book we were published in. We each have stories and inspirations, 101 uplifting stories for daily happiness. Published by As You Wish Publishing, and we wanted to have a little celebration with everyone.
Yeah. Allison and I actually met for the first time doing this book. We were Facebook friends, so we knew each other that way through previous workshops that we had been at together. And we just decided to, we had a mutual friend who's a radio show, and Allison actually contacted me first about maybe doing some kind of a book signing event.
I'm gonna top this up.
We ended up doing a radio show with a friend of ours, and it was the Gratitude Cafe with Sue Lundquist, and she invited us on her show, and we met in Bellevue. We stayed at a hotel. We'd never met each other before in person.
And shared a hotel room together, right?
And I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous at first, but we had a great time. I mean, we really connected, and you know, we're good friends now, and have actually written in 2 books together with As You Wish Publishing. And yeah, so the radio show was super fun. We read our stories and shared about that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did a walk around downtown Seattle and checked out Pike Place Market, which I'd never been to and always wanted to. It was kind of those bucket list things, and I remember a friend telling me, "Really, that's on your bucket list?" Well, sure, why not? I'm very close to the sister town of Vancouver, BC, Canada, so it made sense to meet there and share this celebration of our first published stories with As You Wish Publishing. And the second book that we're in, some of you may also have heard of, The Grateful Soul, which came out earlier this year. Yeah. And with The Grateful Soul, my mom actually has a story in that book too. I helped her write it. So it's been a wonderful time that Inspirations has given us this platform to share our collaborative stories together, and in smaller pieces too. So yeah, and so nice to meet all the wonderful different authors and people through the experience of this publishing work.
Yeah. And there was, in between those 2 books, there's another one called Manifestations, and I wrote a chapter in that book as well. And let's see if I can, that one looks like this. And it's been a really great experience to, you know, I never thought of myself as an author. And I can't even remember exactly how I found out about, I know it was through Facebook, I found out about Inspirations, and actually got to go to an event where Kira, she's part of the publishing team, Kira and Todd Schaefer, and I didn't meet her in person, but I saw her at the event. She was working at the event, and she was up on the stage, you know, getting people excited. I just saw her and I thought, yeah, I'm going to do this book. I just liked her, was drawn to her energy, and signed up not long after that event that I went to. And it's just been a really great experience. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I wasn't planning on writing, and it just seemed like a good fit and fun. And I thought, oh, I can write a chapter. I mean, it's only 1,000 words. Certainly, I can write that. And now I've done 3, and I've also just recently signed up to write my own book. So I'm writing a solo book, my year of travel. So I'm working on that. So it's just been a really, you know, kind of a validating experience for expressing my story and expressing my voice. And yeah, and most of the stories, well, Inspirations and The Grateful Soul, I talked about stories around losing my husband who passed away 2 years ago. And then Manifestations was a story about creating money. And it was just a story about several years ago at an event, doing a group meditation, and the process I went through to create, you know, a little bit of money to kind of help me along the way. And so they're really great platforms, these collaboration books, to just get a short story out, helped me get confident in writing, and just sharing my story. And I think for me, that's the most important thing that I've learned about this is, you know, we all have a story to share. We all have a responsibility too, I think, to share our story when we have something that can help people with their challenges. And so it's been a really great experience for me.
That's amazing, Paula, and so well said. I echo with a lot of that. And it's so beautiful to read your stories and witness your sort of transformation as you change, you know, the path in your life, and use the wisdom you've gleaned from your experiences to help others. And, you know, I actually came across As You Wish Publishing, I think through your Facebook feed for Inspirations. And I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, I always wanted to publish some of my poetry. But even though this was a chapter in a book and I didn't consider myself a writer, it was this amazing opportunity that came up that I jumped at, and I was able to actually publish a poem with my short story that coincided with that experience that I wrote about. And I literally, as you wish, my dreams, you know, came true. And yeah, you're right. It's been a confidence builder to keep going down that path and keep continuing on with the creative journey and sharing stories and perspectives on how really you've moved through challenges or created something, whether it's money or some other type of abundance. And I actually have a really funny story about this inspiration sign I have in the window. One day, I think it was about 1.5 years ago, I was feeling really inspired. I had this silly idea, and I get a lot of creative ideas, and I was kind of rolling with it in my mind and taking a shower and just feeling excited all throughout the day. And as I drove back from the grocery store, I saw this on the side of the road in a garbage pile. And I literally was driving and I thought, did I see that? And yeah, it was for the taking outside on some broken down old lawn chairs.
Oh so gosh, somebody's out inspiration.
Yeah. The eye is broken, but it still sits there. So, and it was actually just up the street from my house. So I parked my car and then ran up the road to grab it. And I've had it ever since, and I love it. So, you know, you never really kind of know sometimes how things will unfold, and it's been a really beautiful experience to have this, I just call it a platform. So cheers to As You Wish Publishing for making our dreams come true. I'm trying to do this without spilling. Clink. Cheers, Kara Schaefer and Todd Schaefer. We love you.
Yes, we do. We love our publishers.
Yes. Hashtag, yeah, we love our publishers. So Paula, I am excited to hear that you are working on a solo book. That is a huge endeavor, and very courageous to step out sort of into that big unknown and do it. That is a labor of love. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually just kind of came out of I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but it kind of did, because I after my husband passed in June 1st, 2018, and then I left my job at the end of February 2019 and decided I was just going to take a year of travel and take care of myself, heal, all that kind of stuff. And my mom and I actually hit the road. And what I ended up, I was, it all kind of started with the pandemic, because I think it was around April. I had flown, I was in New York City at the beginning of March. I flew there to go to a travel conference, and when we were flying there, or before I flew there, there was some talk with the from the organizers that, they said a little bit about the COVID virus, the coronavirus, and said, but everything's good. We've talked to the mayor of the city. We should still be okay to have the conference. And I honestly, I hadn't really heard much about, I'm like, a virus, what is that all about?
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anything of it. I was just excited to go, meet all these women who were interested in travel like I was. And I also was staying with some friends. So that was a lot. And then I get there, and there was, in our little grab bag that we got at the event, there was, everybody got hand sanitizer. It's like, well, whatever, sometimes you get that at events. It wasn't any real deal. And then, my friends that I were staying with, one of them had airline tickets to go to Italy in June. So this was, I think it was in June. Actually, it might have been March or April. I don't remember, but it was coming up fast. And they're like, can we even go to Italy? By then it was happening in Italy, and they were talking a little bit about it being in Seattle, starting in Seattle, which is where I live.
Yeah.
And they ended up, while I was there, they canceled the trip to Italy. But then that's Italy. We're here in the U.S. It's no big deal, right? And there was a little bit of stuff on the news in New York City about it, but I didn't think too much of it. So anyway, I do the conference. I fly home to actually I flew to Denver, and that's where my mom lives. That's where I'm from. And I had planned to spend 2 or 3 weeks in Denver. And well, I get there on March 10th, and then things started happening quickly in the U.S. They put stay-at-home orders in Seattle, like I think it was March 23rd. Denver was March 26th, and like, oh, I get to be in Denver. So anyway, the thing that was really interesting for me, that I just remember sometime in April, I think it was, I did a video for my Facebook group about grief that I went through when my husband died and the pandemic, because for me it was very similar. I mean, we were all going through grief. Our life has stopped. I can't travel anymore. I'm an event planner, so all my events canceled. So they were either canceled, moved to 2021, or went online.
Right.
And so it was like, kind of like, what am I going to do now? And this video that I did was all about Groundhog Day. So if you remember that movie with Bill Murray about Groundhog Day. So every day you wake up at the same day, 6 o'clock, the alarm goes off. I Got You, Babe by Sonny and Cher plays. And over the course of the movie, he figures out, well, I can't change the day. I keep waking up in the same day, but I can do something different each day. And at first he does like bad things, like beating people up and being mean. But then over the course of time, he figures out, oh, I can do nice things. I can, and once he got to the point where, it was all about being the best version of himself, then he came out of it, right? In the end. So I did this video about that. That's what grief is like. So every day you wake up, for me, it was every day I woke up, my husband was still dead. You know, he was, my day was gonna, that's how my day started. Wake up, oh, Gary's still not here. And in order to move forward each day, I had to do something different from my normal routine. And it wasn't even anything like really life-changing or earth-shattering that I would do. It was just like, okay, go for a walk in a different place. Take a course, read a different book, watch a different TV program, or watch TV all day. You know, being at home, right? Watch TV all day. So I was thinking about this during the pandemic because it was the same thing. So you wake up every morning, it's like, oh, we're still on lockdown, we're still having to quarantine, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything. And that got me thinking about that whole process. And I was talking with my business coach in our business team, and I was sharing that with them. And my coach was like, that's so amazing, you know, that you know, everybody needs to hear about, you know, we're going through this form of grief, and grief isn't just for dying. Grief, it happens when we get divorced, when we lose a relationship, when we quit a job or lose a job or move from a community. All of those things create grief. And each one is different. You know, you've lost your father, I've lost my husband, I've lost grandparents, I've lost friends, you know, I've lost ways of life. And the mechanics are all the same. As far as the grief goes, the situations are different, but when you lose something, you know, you go through all those emotions and all those feelings. And so I got to thinking about, you know, in that business call, as I was sharing this story with all of my my colleagues, and thought I should write a book about this and tie it in with the death of my husband and the pandemic and how that all kind of happens together. And I came up with this whole, I went for a walk, and I turned on my voice recording on my iPhone, and I just started talking. And I came up with like the introduction to the book and kind of a beginning story around it. And what I ended up deciding to do is the book is a journey through my travels. So there's 12 legs of the journey throughout that year that I went through, starting in March 2019 to kind of like the present. It's not exactly a full year, but just 12 sections, 12 legs of the journey. And it just talks about how how that helped me with my grief. And I share, actually, as far as the writing of it, which is a little bit of a challenge because I didn't journal all the time, but I took pictures. And so I've gone back to those pictures on my phone, and I created bullet points of where was I, what did we do, describing the picture. And then I came up with a story for each leg of what I did during that leg. And then I brought up a flashback about Gary, and it starts from when he was diagnosed with cancer and goes all the way till after he passed. And how does that relate to how does that flashback relate to my year of travel? I talk a little bit about that, and then I have just some short exercises to do at the end of each of those legs. And so anyway, it was I proposed it to Kira. I said, I don't know, I kind of have this idea, what do you think? And I sent her the first kind of the outline of the book. I put the whole outline together. I mean, it all just sort of came together, and she read it, and she's like, oh my God, I need to have this book. Everybody needs to have this book. It's such a great idea, a great way of kind of looking at the grieving process and how to get through it. And,
that's beautiful. Anyway, so that's, and I think that is so important. Sorry, I cut you off there.
And for me, it's been really great about just about, you know, what to do. And I brought that up with the whole Groundhog Day thing was, you know, with grief, no matter what it is, you got to do something different every day. You got to break that cycle of the same thing all the time, because if you don't, you're just going to stay stuck in the sadness and the anger and the fear of and just not feeling in control of anything. So for me, that was like the really big thing. And one of the other things that I did as I was traveling, about halfway through the year, I guess, I came up with this idea. I called it day trip or trios. And every day while I was on the road, I was gonna look for three things. I was gonna look, the first one is something to be grateful for. What can I be grateful for that day? The second thing was something to make me laugh. And if I couldn't find anything to make me laugh, at least make me smile. So, bringing up those feelings. And then the third one was divine, finding something divine in that day. And so every day I did that. I posted that on my Facebook group. And
yeah, I was following. Yeah.
Something different, because before, when I was wallowing in my grief and sadness and all of that, I wasn't looking for anything to be grateful for. I didn't feel grateful about anything. I wasn't laughing about anything or even smiling about anything. And I wasn't connected to the divine, because, when you're in that, when you're in that grief, a lot of times you're angry at God, the universe, whatever, for, you're kind of in that victim mode about, why am I here? Why did this happen to me? So doing something every day is I think really important. It's good any day, no matter what you're going through. When things are going great, just do something different, because it changes your thinking. It changes your emotional feelings.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So that's a long story. I'm gonna have to edit some of that out. But yeah, that's, so the whole thing about, I never thought I would be writing a book on my own. And I was talking with Kira, and I'm like, is anybody even going to be interested in what I have to say? And am I even going to be a good storyteller? I've got all these bullet lists, but it's been a really great process, because it helps, when you think about how do I convey a message or how do I share a story that's compelling and interesting? And of course that brings up fears, because you think, oh, I'm not interesting, and but writing is really great for that. And I think it was really a blessing for me to just be able to express my voice. And the one thing, my husband died of throat cancer, so his illness was all about that, this area, fifth energy center, chakra center, that's all about expression. And both Gary and I had that challenge throughout our life. So in my mind, I feel like I'm writing this book together with Gary, in helping us both express our stories.
I was actually just going to say that, because as you were describing that, I felt like this is almost like, both your beautiful legacy to express through you, and to have that connection. And there is no wrong or right, just write. Right? Just get the pen, get the keyboard out, whatever you need, and just write. And I think that process, that transforms how we perceive and how we're able to take what we've learned from our experiences, like you have, from your amazing story, to share with others. And people are interested, and we need this now. I think we need more information about grief and how to process it, especially with all of the challenges so many have faced, including myself. But one thing that I'm doing differently, which I would like to share right now, everybody is conditioned to believe you should put a strawberry in your champagne. Well, organic frozen raspberries, I took them out of the freezer, but they're still frozen. These are amazing in your drink, and they're really good to eat frozen because they're small. So cheers to doing something different. Not much left.
You should try pomegranate seed. Would be good too.
That would be nice. Okay, I'm only allowed to have a little bit more, because I have to put this back in the freezer. So when you're single and you live alone like me, you have to put the champagne thing. There's a champagne saver. You have to put it back on and in the fridge, and don't look at it. So
what I would like for you to share is, I thought it was so sweet when, with the Grateful Soul book that you wrote with your mother, you know, and I know that, you know, when your father passed, that was unexpected. With your mom, she's got Alzheimer's, and it's a totally different way of grieving. You know, one is like you have no time to say goodbye. And I loved how you said in one of your posts, maybe you can say that exactly how you said it, because it was so profound the way that you said that.
Thank you, Paula. Actually, you know, I have to give a lot of, I don't want to make it a long story, but I have to give thanks to you, because it was really from being invited to your Life Over Loss event in Seattle that propelled me into accepting or creating this opportunity for myself to become a flow transformational grief coach. And yes, and I wrote in there, you know, somehow along the way recently when I was building my website, I, on my own, not knowing how, for one thing, there's a new skill, I did something different. Huge learning curve. Woo, I'm still kind of up here. Is I think I remember sharing in the Grateful Soul group, Facebook group, about my mom with Alzheimer's, and somebody had commented and said, I understand, I resonate, my father has dementia and it's the longest goodbye. So dementia, or types of dementias, are referred to as the longest goodbye, and that struck a chord with me. And so I use that in part of my language, because I realized along the way the polarity of having no goodbye at all, just like that, boom, gone, and no illness or anything, no warning, to witnessing and being present with this disease that takes away someone's personality. It's almost like it eats away at the personality and their cognitive ability. And it's like every time you see that person, you know, I see my mother regularly. I'm her primary caretaker because there is no one else here to help with her. So, you know, I've chosen to take on this responsibility and to ensure that one of our elders, someone who took care of her mom when she was dying, she took care of her brother when he was dying, you know, and it's the longest goodbye, because every time you see them, you witness a little more of that personality and them kind of slipping away in this, you know, decline. But it really brings you to the present moment, and that's why I wrote about this. I helped her write her book. I helped her write her story, Smiley, in the Grateful Soul book, as a creative opportunity for us to work on something together, to get her mind engaged in the usual routine, the same thing. What can she do differently? And she used to write before for a motorcycling magazine, because she used to ride her whole life. And she knows with her liberties taken away, she can't have a driver's license and that, you know, it really helps bring her to the present moment. What am I grateful for? And it helps me be present with her, to appreciate that time we have together. And it's almost like we're all struggling in life to just be present, and she gets this amazing gift to just be present. And so what if she repeats something, you know, 10 times? It's like an opportunity for me. Okay, well, how can I think differently, or how can I show up differently to engage and stimulate and be creative with her? And so this book was an amazing opportunity to do that. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, it's the challenges, you know, they are presented, and I think it's just everything is an opportunity for everything is really just an opportunity. It's hard to really put it into words, but everything is like a teacher. So whether it's their struggle, our struggle, something we learned from a loved one that's gone. I lost my job during the pandemic. I created a whole new business for myself. I did this alone. I'm taking care of my mom. I could go into that whole story, but the reality is we're here celebrating life. It's beautiful. You know, there's so much opportunity that we can have if we just give ourselves a chance, and maybe not listen to that little voice here that says, well, no one wants to listen to your story. You know, maybe I do have something to say. I kind of feel like there's like the two. And so in the relationships that we're building, the community, the sense of community, especially with the Facebook groups that As You Wish has, and the ones that you have and promote too, it's been a real saving grace during these times. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
One of the things that I was going to say that, you know, you talked about losing your job during the pandemic, and I was talking about this to some friends the other day about how, you know how we always say before this all happened and we're all super busy, right? We're working our jobs and everything. It's like, I don't have time to get fit. I don't have time to think about something new. I don't have time to write a book. I don't have time to do any of that kind of stuff. And then now we do, right? So the pandemic happened, you know, all of my events go away, your job goes away, and it's like now we have all this time, right? And I got to thinking about, actually, as I was working on parts of my book, I was kind of thinking through and realizing how now I haven't accomplished everything I thought when the pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. I'm going to get my website updated. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all kinds of videos for my Facebook and everything. And then now we're like 5 months later,
Yeah.
5 months later. And
And
it's like, then my mind starts, instead of like back before when we were busy and we didn't have time, we beat ourselves up for not having the time. And now I had the time. So now I'm beating myself because I didn't get everything accomplished when I have the time. And it's just a funny thing that our mind plays on us. It's always looking for reasons to, you know, question who I am or what I'm doing, or why aren't you further along? And that's just our, you know, ego that kind of gets in the way of things. But I that one of the best things out of the pandemic is just the time that we've been given to you know, really think about who we are and what we want and who we want to be, and yeah, I mean, I think that's the best part. You know, I think all that time when we were so busy, there just wasn't time to really think about that or even connect to spirit. And you know, I know you both you know, wanted that connection with our loved ones that passed. It's like, I want to see signs. I want to know that you're okay. I want to know that, you know, that there's another place to go when we leave this place, and we'll meet you there when time comes. And this has really allowed both of us, I think, the time to connect with that, and know that our loved ones, even though they're not here physically with us, they're still here all the time. And you know, just really a thought away, and that's comforting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for acknowledging that and expressing that, because I think I recently read that in your newsletter and I was like, wow, that's exactly it. Because I find the same thing with, well, I had all this time, so why haven't I accomplished everything? But then you have to go, wait a second, let's celebrate what I have done, which has been literally monumental with the learning curve in my life, and really navigating things, you know, a little bit more in everything has always been unknown, but more so in that I don't have someone at home to sort of help me with anything, but then again, not victim. But that was really well said. And as I look at what I have accomplished and what I'm doing to constantly reframe this gift of being with my mom during, you know, her struggle, it's not just her struggle, it's our struggle, you know. And I think with before the pandemic, there was always a pandemic, and it's mental health, and all these different grieving processes really play a role in how we process and perceive things. And you know, I just look at things as a gift, and I am so proud that I can carry on my dad's last name you know, with my last name, even though there's no children, but I'm a living legacy, and that's the gift kind of that he's given me to with the confidence to walk my path now and do it and help others. So yeah, this is, you know, again, it really comes back to As You Wish Publishing has been an incredible platform in my life. I mean, in 1 year alone, I went, you know, we went from publishing our first chapters and inspirations, meeting each other, traveling together, sharing hotel rooms together, and experiencing life after loss, and really blossoming. And thank you, Paula, for your friendship and for this moment and this time. And it's been a pleasure, you know, connecting today.
Well, thank you for you too. And you know, anytime we're looking for the gift in our loss, I mean, look at us. I mean, I never would have met you if Gary hadn't passed, if your dad hadn't passed. We wouldn't have had that connection. And I think that's just what life is. It's about going from each experience that you have and making the best of it, finding the gifts in it, and finding your tribe. And I feel like I've found a really great community that supports who I am and what I want to be. And I've met some really amazing people along the way, and have some really cherished friends, which is you being one of them. So thank you.
Thank you. And if I have one last thing to share, is I might get another extra sip in here to actually toast, is the one thing I think of every day in the morning before I get out of bed that gets me excited and puts a smile on my face is, what am I going to create today? So cheers to creating a new life for all of us to join together. I'm trying to do the blink. And celebrating and to feel inspired every day. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.